Before we proceed, I'd like to briefly turn the meeting over to one of our outstanding students who will receive the President's Award tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the dais Simone Rosen from Hanks High School.
Thank you, Mr. Haggerty, and good evening, everyone. My name is Simone Rosen, and I'm a senior at Hanks High School. At this month's recipient of the President's Award, it is my honor and my pleasure to call this meeting to order.
Good evening, and welcome to the Ysleta Independent School District's meeting of the Board of Trustees. Whether you're here to address the board or to celebrate the accomplishments of those being honored here this evening, we are happy that you have taken the time to join us and invite you to take the opportunity to share your questions and comments with the board via the public comment portion of our meeting. Rules for participating in the public comment portion are available at the sign-up table. We would like to remind everyone that this is a board meeting, often attended by students, and we ask that we all conduct ourselves in a manner that best represents the values and traditions of the Ysleta Independent School District. Please turn off or silence all cell phones, tablets, and other electronic devices, and thank you for your attendance. The June 1st board meeting is called to order at 6:01 p.m. We have a quorum with Mr. Rosales, Mr. Ramirez, Mrs. Woodruff, Mr. Pearson, Mrs. McLean, Ms. Duenas, and myself, Shane Haggerty. I am the lucky one who will be reading the color guard script tonight to prepare the audience for the presentation of colors by the mighty Parkland High School Junior ROTC. It has become a tradition to honor our nation at each of our board meetings by presenting the colors, reciting the pledges of allegiance, and then posting the colors. The colors tonight are being presented by Junior ROTC Color Guard from Parkland High School. The Color Guard commander is Cadet Timothy Porras. The other Color Guard members are Cadet Fernanda Guerrero, Cadet Natalia Valderrama, Cadet Fernando Torres. The pledge leader is Catherine Engel, an 8th grade student at Parkland Middle School, who, by the way, scored a 100% on her Algebra 1 and, of course, exams. What was the STAR test? Will you please stand for the presentation of colors, the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance, the Texas Pledge of Allegiance, and a moment of silence. Please remain standing until all the cadets have departed.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, please join me in the pledge to the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Please be seated.
During the May 31st Agenda Review Workshop, no items were pulled. However, under recognitions and introductions, I would like to make the request to move number 8 up to number 2. Are there any other consent items you would like to pull for discussion or for a separate motion, or any further discussion on the order of this agenda?
Mr. Haggerty?
Yes, ma'am.
Considering that we have the budget on today's agenda, I would like to suspend the normal rules and timelines when we discuss the agenda item on the budget.
Is there a second? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion fails 5-2. Is there any other discussion, or may I please have a motion on the revised order of the agenda?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the order of the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Here we go. We do the electronic vote. Motion passes 7-0. Dr. De La Torre, do you have recognitions for this evening?
President Haggerty, members of the board, esteemed guests, we do have recognitions this evening. I'd like to introduce Chris Lechuga, who will present the recognitions this evening.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent De La Torre. We have several recognitions for you this evening. At this time, we ask that you please come to the front of the dais for the presentations. We also ask audience members to please remain seated until we have finished tonight's recognitions. Thank you. Okay. Our first recognition is in honor of Senior Simone Rawson, who has displayed great strength of character, selflessness, and a commitment to community service, exact opposite, during her years at Hanks High School. This year, she helped oversee the school's Hanksgiving project, which provides holiday meals to more than 500 families. In the midst of the project, her brother was in a terrible car accident, but Simone pushed through her personal challenges and saw Hanksgiving through to its eventual success. Simone's selflessness also shines through in her work with special needs students. This school year, she organized an Easter egg hunt, a track and field meet, and a prom for special needs students, helped with Special Olympics basketball games and gymnastics competitions. Simone is truly giving and does the right things for the right reasons, and her actions serve as a true reflection of her character and service-oriented heart. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause for our President's Award recipient, Hanks High School student Simone Rawson. Accompanying Simone is her principal, Ms. Gloria Spencer. Let's hear it one more time for Simone Rawson. Our next recognition is in honor of 4 employees and 2 students at Hanks High School, whose quick thinking and emergency training helped save the life of freshman Kayla Apodaca. Last month, Kayla collapsed on her way to class, and fellow students Hunter Biggs and Michael Sanchez quickly called for help from assistant basketball coach Joel Calderon and security guard Ana Gonzalez. Within seconds, substitute nurse Ernesto Tovar responded to the scene and began assessing Kayla, followed quickly by school nurse Cecilia Vasquez, a former ICU nurse. When Kayla stopped breathing just a few moments later, Mr. Tovar and Ms. Vasquez performed CPR, while Mr. Calderon ran to the front office to access the school's EAD, or Automated External Defibrillator, which successfully restarted Kayla's heart. Once the paramedics arrived, Ms. Vasquez's previous work as an ICU nurse enabled her to brief them on the situation and continue providing timely and critical care to Kayla. Had there been any kind of delay on the part of the students or employees, even by just a few minutes, Kayla might not have survived her ordeal. The students' immediate response to summon help and the quick actions, resourcefulness, and expertise of Hanks High School staff proved beyond the shadow of a doubt that every extra effort, no matter how great or small, counts when it comes to our students, staff, and schools. Ladies and gentlemen, receiving our Everything Counts Award tonight from Hanks High School, please help me welcome Nurse Ms. Cecilia Vasquez. Substitute Nurse Mr. Ernesto Tovar. Theater teacher and assistant basketball coach, Mr. Joel Calderon. Security guard, Ms. Ana Gonzalez. And students Hunter Biggs and Michael Sanchez. They are accompanied by Principal Ms. Gloria Spencer. Okay, just one more second. Before you return to your seats, Kayla's father would like to share a few words with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the podium Mr. Tony Apodaca.
Thank you, Dr. De La Torre, Ysleta Independent School District board members, and honored guests for allowing me to speak on behalf of Kayla Apodaca and the entire Apodaca-Ortiz family. I do not wish to divert attention from the district business at hand, so my remarks will be short. More aptly stated, however, my remarks will be short because there simply are no words to properly convey the eternal gratitude that my family and I feel toward the J.M. Hanks administration, faculty, staff, and student body for their intervention on my daughter Kayla's behalf. The only words I have, and I assure you they are not enough, are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for saving my daughter's life. Thank you for saving her brain. Thank you for saving her future. Thank you for saving her sisters from a lifetime of agonizing loss and sorrow. Thank you for saving her grandparents and extended family from the hollowness that accompanies the inability to say a proper goodbye to a loved one that is taken before their time. Thank you for saving her friends and her classmates from witnessing a traumatic event at a critical and fragile stage in their development. Thank you for saving her mother and me from an unspeakable nightmare. I have spoken personally with Mrs. Gloria Spencer and each of the honored guests and thanked them for being heroes, for being our saviors, and for being great people. And as I have spoken with each of them, they have all responded with a similar and simple reply. It was all for the children. And I believe them. I believe that what they did for Kayla, they would do 100 times over for any and every student in their care. And that is precisely what makes them heroes. It is that attention to every single student that makes them saviors to the families in our community. And it is unequivocally what makes them great people. Ceci, Ernesto, Ana, Joel, Hunter, Michael, I want you all to know that we will never forget you. We will never forget what you have done for us. We will cherish every birthday and every holiday and every quiet moment together as a whole and complete family. And we'll remember what your actions have afforded us. You will forever be in our prayers. May God bless you. Thank you.
Hi. Okay. I really don't know what to say other than thank you, like my dad said. There really is no other way to put it. You all saved my life, and even though I don't remember what happened that day, and some of you I knew, and some I've never met before, you were all so important to me now, because if it wasn't for any of you, I would not be here today. And I just want to thank you all, and I will never forget what happened to me or how I was saved by you guys. I will never forget you, and I just want to thank you with all I have, all my heart, and thank you.
Oh. Go ahead, come on. We had to take a picture of this moment, I'm sorry. Thank you. Let's hear it again for tonight's Everything Account Awards recipients. Okay. Our next recognition is our first ever honorary Riverside Ambassador Award, which is being awarded to Patricia Rodarte from Riverside High School's class of 2015. Patricia made YISD history as a senior last year when she was accepted to 7 Ivy League schools, as well as several other prestigious institutions. She recently completed her first year at Brown University and hopes to go into medical research in the future. Her success, determination, and hard work make her a role model in the Riverside community, and we honor her for her achievements. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the recipient of our first ever honorary Riverside Ambassador Award, Ms. Patricia Rodarte. Let's hear it again for Ms. Rodarte. The next recognition is in honor of Del Valle High School student Joshua Hernandez, who captured the gold in shot put in the 5A division of the UIL track and field regional competition last month. Let's hear it for Del Valle High School athlete Joshua Hernandez. He's accompanied by head track coach Mr. Orlando Hairston and assistant principal Mr. Felipe Barraza. Let's hear it again for our talented athlete, Joshua Hernandez. Our next recognition is in honor of Eastwood High School gymnast Danelis Dorado, who captured the gold in the vault event at the Texas High School Gymnastics Coaches Association state meet held in Fort Worth. This is the second consecutive year that Danelis won first place at a state in the vault event. Let's hear it for our gold medal gymnast from Eastwood High School, Danelis Dorado. She's accompanied by Coach Mr. Christian Carrasco and Principal Ms. Armenia Smith. Let's hear it again for Danelis Dorado. Our next recognition is in honor of Bel Air High School student Ian Zamora, who made district history last month when he became the first Ysleta ISD student to compete in the wheelchair division of the UIL 5A State Track and Field Championships. Ian competed in 3 events, the 100-meter dash, the 400-meter dash, and the shot put. Let's hear it for our talented athlete from Bel Air High School, Ian Zamora. He's accompanied by his coach, Mr. Rene Silva, and principal, Mr. Luis Martinez. Let's hear it again for Mr. Ian Zamora. The next recognition on the agenda is on behalf of the Texas Girls Coaches Association, or TGCA, which has given its highest awards for the 4A, 5A, and 6A divisions this year to Hanks High School girls wrestling coach, Mr. Anthony Carter, and student wrestler, Brianna Holcomb. TGCA announced Brianna as its 2015-2016 Athlete of the Year, while Coach Carter was named the 2015-2016 Coach of the Year. This is the first time that these top awards have gone to either a student or a coach from El Paso, so we congratulate you both on this remarkable achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, from Hanks High School, please give a round of applause to wrestler Brianna Holcomb and girls wrestling coach Mr. Anthony Carter. They are accompanied by Principal Ms. Gloria Spencer. Let's hear it again for Brianna Holcomb and Coach Carter. Our final recognition this evening is in honor of Eastwood High School student Noel Maldonado, the winner of the 2016 Congressional Art Competition for District 16, which is represented by Congressman Beto O'Rourke. As the winner, Noel's artwork will hang in the hallways of the U.S. Capitol for 1 year, and he will be flown to Washington, D.C. to see the installation of his artwork. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me congratulate the 2016 Congressional Art Competition winner for District 16, Noel Maldonado. He's accompanied by teacher Ms. Angelica Quillen and principal Ms. Armenia Smith. Let's hear it again for Noel Maldonado. This concludes our recognitions this evening. Thank you.
That speech was. Everything said was true, but. Everybody in the room was. Like that one? Secretary Duenas, do we have requests for citizens' input?
President Haggerty, yes, we do. We have Mr. Michael Miller, subject, Rio Bravo Middle School Administration and Safety Concerns.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. De La Torre, and all in attendance. I am here tonight to discuss my son, who is in 6th grade and special needs student in regular education at Rio Bravo Middle School. On April 26, 2016, my wife and I had a follow-up meeting with Dr. Catherine Kennedy, Diane Otero, and Dr. Sandra Calzada over safety concerns and questionable documentation that the school had provided us. I would like to talk about my son, who had been left unattended after school on 2 separate occasions due to miscommunication between the special education department and the tutoring department. on the first safety incident, which occurred on January 14th of this year. There was no parental contact, and our son was left outside unsupervised for 45 minutes. After this incident, the tutoring teacher was changed. When the second incident occurred on March 1st of this year, we were not contacted until the tutoring had already ended, but my son was escorted out of the tutoring room 10 minutes after it had started. We visited with Dr. Diana Otero and Dr. Sandra Calzada over this matter. During this meeting, Dr. Calzada made it apparent that she was unaware of the school schedule and gave us erroneous information over when tutoring had ended. She also stated that she was unaware of the first safety incident. The meeting only made us more vigilant concerning our son's safety during school hours and after school hours. Throughout the school year, we have had several incidents involving our son where he has been bullied. 14 days into the school year, we found this out. When we brought this to the attention of the assistant principal, Thomas Ornelas, the comment he made to us was, "This tends to happen in middle school. I will contact the school counselor where Eric can be shadowed by over students." This did not occur. We feel for the safety of our son and all the students at Rio Bravo Middle School. We are pushing for Riverside Middle School to have a 6th grade unit and give us more of an option as to where we can send our children to school, as we do not have that right now in our area. We have provided the LEA with all the documentation concerning this matter as we made a complaint with the TEA as well. And you are all open to those records, and I can make those readily available to you as well. I thank you all for your time, and I do hope you all continue investigation over this matter and do consider opening a 6th grade unit at Riverside Middle School. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any others?
No.
We're going to go ahead and have the public hearing proposed budget fiscal year 2016-17. Proposed budget. As a taxing entity, the district is required to provide an annual forum for the public to provide input on various items. These items include the Texas Academic Performance Report, the budget, and the tax rate. The date of the board meeting is announced and published on the district's webpage. Secretary Duenas, do we have anyone signed up to speak?
No, we don't, President Hagerty.
Thank you. Using your electronic hand for discussion, is there discussion on the minutes for the workshop, May 9th, 2016, 6 p.m., and regular meeting, May 11th, 2016, 6 p.m.? No discussion, may I have a verbal and electronic motion on the minutes?
Mr. President, I move to approve the minutes for the workshop, May 9th, 2016, 6 p.m., and regular meeting, May 11th, 2016, 6 p.m. meeting.
We have a motion and a second from Mr. Pearson.
Second.
Go ahead and cast our electronic votes. It timed out. Motion approved, 6-0. Dr. De La Torre, do you have reports for the board this evening?
Yes, President Hagerty, members of the board, on May 20th, we held a black and white gala to honor our campus Teachers of the Year and Support Employee of the Year. Our 3 top awards went to Drusilla Cardona from Desert Air Elementary School, who was named Support Employee of the Year. Melanie Elliott from Pasadale Elementary School was the Elementary School Teacher of the Year. And Raquel Cooker from Parkland Middle School was named Secondary Teacher of the Year. We want to congratulate our winners for their hard work and their dedication to the Ysleta Independent School District. On Tuesday, May 24th, we held 2 groundbreaking ceremonies to commemorate the installation of artificial turf at the Parkland and Bel Air High School stadiums, and our final groundbreaking ceremony will take place tomorrow morning at Ysleta High School. This turf installation is the first bond project to get underway, and it should be completed at all 7 high school stadiums for the upcoming school year. We'd like to thank the community for making this possible through its support of the bond, and we look forward to seeing the completion of this project over the next few months. On Friday, May 27th, students at Eastwood High School held a special ceremony on campus to commemorate one of our former trustees, the late Miss Debbie Lewis. The ceremony celebrated 2 occasions: the renaming of Lynham Street to Debbie Lewis Way, and the naming of the school's tennis courts to Debbie Lewis Memorial Tennis Courts. Miss Lewis was a highly respected and beloved figure in the Eastwood learning community, and we are pleased to be able to honor her memory and her distinguished years of service to the Ysleta Independent School District. Lastly, high school graduation season is underway, as our first ceremony took place this morning at Texas School of Choice. The Valle Verde Early College High School graduation will take place on June 6th at the Abraham Chavez Theater. Ysleta High School's ceremony will take place on June 7th at its stadium. The remaining comprehensive high schools will hold ceremonies on June 8th and 9th at the Don Haskins Center, and we look forward to seeing you all there. Our congratulations go out to the class of 2016. We wish them all the best in their college and/or career goals. And that concludes my report, President Hagerty.
Thank you, sir. We have a report on the visual display of preliminary renderings of Eastwood High School.
We just want to make folks in the audience aware of the fact that there should be some renderings located in the back corner of the facility that display the proposed design for the new Eastwood High School construction project. Are they back there? Okay. Are we prepared to do that?
Here we go.
Why don't we do that? There you go. And I think if you click presentation.
A whole lot different than when I went there.
Can we have somebody explain what all this is?
Good evening, Mr. Haggerty, Dr. Delatorre, and members of the board. If you will turn back to the previous slide, thank you very much. This gives you an overview, an artist's rendition of what the school is going to look like. If you look all the way to the left, that is McRae. That'll be the front of the school, and it's going to have an entirely different look from what you normally see. You know where the new 2-story science labs are? Well, there'll be a building right in front of that, which gives that a whole new look. And then as you travel north, thank you, you will see there's going to be a 2-story academic building where it says academics. And in the middle of the campus, if you will look here, you will see that's going to be a 3-story academic building. Now, one of the beauties of this rendition is this area. This will give it a brand new look. And you can see that by the artist's rendition right there on your left. All right, there'll be an administration area, which will be located in that area. So as people approach the school and they enter the school, there'll be an administration area. Here, there'll be a new theater, a state-of-the-art UIL theater. All right, for everybody in the district, we'll have an opportunity to have one-act play, have those type of events. Then you will have the CTE area, you will have a black box, and then over here is the new area, is the fine arts area, and that's going to be art classrooms. If you've ever had a chance to walk through Eastwood High School right now, their art rooms are inadequate. So we're going to go ahead and put an art room right here, and then as you go down Montwood, there'll be an area for the band to increase the band storage room because they lack storage. Inside the band room, we're going to go ahead and fix up their practice rooms because they were in need. Continuing down Montwood, you will see parking, where right now there's parking. There is the existing Bobby Leslie gym. and this will be the new gymnasium. This will be their main gymnasium and will be a competitive gymnasium. The Bobby Leslie Gym will be refurbished upstairs and downstairs. There's a wrestling room downstairs. There's locker rooms, PE locker rooms, coaches' offices. All those will be refurbished. We're looking right now into this area, possibly in the softball area. If you all recall, during the bond, when we went out for the bond, we said if it was at all possible, we were going to bring softball back from Scottsdale Elementary and have it on campus. Looks like we'll be able to do that. This will be student parking, and they will end up gaining 70, I think, 2 parking spaces from what they have right now. And one of the things you will notice right now, there's only one entrance into this parking area. But the architects realize this, and they'll be working on adding an additional entry and exit from that parking lot. The baseball field remains the same. They will get lighting for their field. They'll get fencing, new backstop, and this will become a very nice facility for the students. But I'll go real quickly again. Academic area here, 2-story academics here, 3-story academic area here, theater, administration area, CTE, new art rooms. This is the existing band area, dance area. It'll remain the same. This will become a nurse's suite. This is the existing cafeteria. We'll fix, the cafeteria is in great shape. As you know, it was just refurbished last year. We just finished up. But we'll do a little remodeling inside where the students eat. Hector, if you go to the next slide. All right, this is what the floor plan will look like. It gives you an idea. You can see the new areas, the different classroom academic areas. This is the administration area that I pointed out earlier. Here is the theater. These are the art classes along this area. This is the current administration area. It'll be refurbished and used for different, could be, like I said, it'll be a nurse's suite, different other administrative areas. New gymnasium, the Bobby Leslie Gym, and we're still working on the softball. Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Haggerty.
There you go. Are we gaining any square footage? And then in this picture here, I don't see the field house. Is the field house staying?
The field house will remain there. There was nothing in the bond to refurbish the field house, but it does remain in this area as you stated.
Are we gaining square footage?
Total square footage for this project is 250,000 square feet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill.
Yes, sir.
We have the health fund update.
At this time, the board would like Mr. McCraw to come forward and deliver a presentation on the health fund update.
Good evening, Board President and members of the board, Dr. Delatorre. I'm Randy McGraw with Hub International, and I'm here to review a forecast for the operation of the health plan. It's a relatively short presentation. I welcome any questions that you have. As you're aware, we changed health plan administrators to Aetna effective January the 1st of this year. And so far, happy to say that the forecasts and the assumptions that were made back in the RFP process, which you awarded the contract in June of last year, appear to be on target in terms of the metrics that we measured at that time. The slide that you have on the screen in front of you right now is tabular form to give you an illustration of actual claims, net claims that were paid under the plan over the last 3 full years, and then a forecast just based on a straight annualization of the average of claims paid already for this year. And then the following slides have some additional information that I'll point out the highlights to you as well. As it stands right now, one of the important things in the takeaway from this screenshot here is that you can see on the right-hand side the average cost per employee per year, as well as per employee or per member per year as well. In the grid on the left-hand side, there's a line that you notice where it says stop-loss reimbursement. And this reflects funds that have been recovered by the health plan over the course of the years for claims that are in excess of our reinsurance deductible. So far this year, we have claims data through April. The month of May just concluded, and we'll have some updates on the May claims data in about 2 weeks. And we update the forecast and all the tracking on a monthly basis. So far this year, we haven't, fortunately, have any large claimants where there are any reimbursements recovered under the stop-loss plan. Okay. This is a nice setup. This slide on page number 3 reflects the historical enrollment. I believe most of you were serving on the board in 2013 when the district had to make some tough decisions on the plan designs that were offered, the funding strategies adopted by the district, as well as payroll deduction decisions for employees. So actually, since January 1 of 2014, there have been no changes to the benefits offered, and there have been no rate increases to employees on the deductions. So we'll ride out the rest of 2016. This will mark a 3-year time period where the health plan hasn't had to have any changes in either the funding or the benefit plan design. So again, it's a good track record compared to your peers and other people out there in the marketplace and other employers. Because there haven't been any significant changes, or actually any changes in benefits or deductions, this grid here shows you the enrollment in the different plans that are offered, and you can see that it's been very stable over that time period. This is a new chart. We haven't had this one in your slide decks before, but we thought it gives you a lot of information sliced and diced on a lot of different areas. You can see on the left-hand side in the column there, total claims paid in all of 2014 and 2015, and year-to-date so far through April in 2016. The top section reflects a breakout of the claims by medical and pharmacy expense. The next section breaks out claims by relationship, whether it's from employees, spouses, or children. And then the next section breaks out the claims by the different plans that are offered, plans 1, 2, 3, and 4. On the middle portion, we've got some averages by month, if that, if that's a metric that you'd like to look at. In the first section to the right of the middle of the page, we have the average enrollment by plan for each of the years, and you can see again it's been very stable. And when it shows members, that's the actual head count of total people covered under the plan. That includes all employees, spouses, and children under the comprehensive medical plan. The right-hand side is the part that I find easiest to use and assess, and that is the average cost per covered person. So you can see so far, if you look in the top section, 2015, the average cost of claims per covered person was $419 per month. So far this year, it's at $406. So that's a move in the right direction in terms of the average cost per covered member. The other thing that I think is important on this slide is the average medical savings percentage line. You see that's in kind of the, I guess it's a brownish color of orange. And that's a key metric too, and that played an important role in the RFP assessment. So if you look at that line, you see in 2014, the health plan averaged a 68.9% discount. So what's that saying is that when people go to the hospital, doctors, et cetera, you get a bill in the mail, and then you typically get your explanation of benefits that says even though the hospital billed $100,000 for a procedure, that it was discounted based on the contract that the provider network has with it to discount the price. So the average discount in 2014 was 68.9%. That was the year we made the change to the Cigna provider network. You can see as it moved forward into 2014 that the average discount rate had started to drop to 64.8%. When we were doing the analysis of the RFP back in the middle of the summer last year, the data actually indicated, and we forecast, that the year for 2015 would probably end at exactly 64.8%, and it did. Also, the assessment of the Aetna provider network, had they processed the same claims in the data set that we were using, indicated that the average network or discount would average right around 66%. So you can see so far year to date in 2016 that the discount that we're experiencing with the Aetna provider network is actually exceeding the expectation, and it's coming in at 68.9% right now. So that's good. That means that we were right on the money for 2015, but so far year to date, it looks better than was expected in terms of the average discount that they had negotiated. The other thing that's important to recognize about the year 2016 is that it does include claims that were incurred in 2015 from access to the Cigna network that are actually paid in 2016. So out of the year-to-date claims so far of about $12.4 million, about 4.2 is due to the run-out claims from the Cigna provider network. So mathematically, that just says that for it to be averaging 68.9, when 4.2 million came in averaging at around 64.8, then the actual effective discount rate from Aetna is probably even higher than the 68.9 that is reflected there. So hopefully that trend will continue throughout the course of the year. At this stage of the game, it's a relatively small amount of data that we're relying on from Aetna's utilization in terms of the forecast that we have. This is a chart that we've had for several years, including 2013 when we were making some tough decisions. You can see under January 114, that's the year that we added plan number 2. Prior to that, we had 3 different plans that were offered, and now we have 4. So you can see that basically what happened in 2014 is the majority of your employees were enrolled under plan number 1, the plan with the lowest deductible, and all but about 260 of them migrated out primarily to plan number 2. You can see that moving average chart starting on January 1 of 2014, the light blue line, you can see that pipeline of data filling up, and you can see what the average cost is there. The other thing that's important to look at here too is these are 12-month moving average costs, and you can see there's a slight uptick in the moving average year over year through April 2016. The pace of inflation compared to a year ago is actually running about 9%. So this chart is our forecast page. Again, I would say the data from Aetna is immature. Basically, we've done this before, we've illustrated, I know it helps to kind of go over some of the highlights. We're relying on the most recent 12 months worth of data, which covers May of 2015 through April of 2016. And there we've got the total claims paid from medical and prescription drug, which totaled $39.8 million in that time period. As you're aware too, on July 1 of 2015, the district reduced its funding to the plan by about $30 per employee per month. The current revenues that are coming in from both the district's contribution and the payroll deductions when annualized over your enrollment expected for this year, 2016, should be just shy of $43 million at $42.9 million. We expect that because of the favorable discount experience that you have, that even though your trend rate is running at 9, for purposes of this forecast, we've tempered that to an 8% trend. For the majority of employer groups in El Paso and West Texas, we're noticing about an average pace of inflation of 7% right now. So hopefully you'll approach that, and as we move closer and closer to the end of your current fiscal year, and then also as we get closer to the start of open enrollment, where we would be back to finalize recommendations on funding and benefits, et cetera, we'll see that trend rate go down. But right now, we're keeping it at the 8% assumption level. We've also got embedded in there reflection of all the fees that are being paid to both Aetna, and then there's some fees that are in there for processing the claims incurred under 2015 with HealthScope. So that's why you see on that one line that says administrative expense, all fees, including the clinic expense, you see that this year it's estimated to be about $3.3 million. Next year that will drop because there won't be any more claims to be processed from 2015. There's also been a pretty significant reduction in the Affordable Care Act taxes. That's the line that says ACA taxes and fees. So last year that averaged $46 per member per year, and this year it's down to $26. So that's a reduction compared to what you had in the prior years. We've also established what we would recommend as a minimum reserve target or a fund balance. And that dominated a lot of the discussion back in 2013 because the district was, or the health plan was incurring a deficit of about $4 million at that time. We expect that by the end of 2016, based on your current funding strategy and the other assumptions in this forecast, that you'll probably be just above zero. We estimate it to be about $201,000 difference. So the strategies that were put in place in January of 2014 have helped to recover the deficit that you have, and we expect that you'll be effectively at a zero balance. The change that you made in the district share of the contribution in July of 2015 was about a $2 million average impact to the health plan. So from the time of that point in time, July 1 of 15, through the end of this year, December 31 of 16, would be about a $3 million reduction in the funding that we had adopted back in 2014. What this shows down here is if we were trying to fund the plan to where we ended up with a $4.5 million reserve fund balance, it would have been good to have raised the rates 10% on January the 1, but we didn't. We kept everything the same in terms of benefits, district contributions, payroll deductions. So taking these assumptions and looking forward into the year 2017, the key points there is notice we've changed our trend rate to what the prevailing average is in the area, which is 7%. And we reflected the contractual changes in terms of administrative fees that are agreed to in the contract with Aetna. We've assumed a small increase in the reinsurance premiums on the stop-loss premium. And we've made some assumptions on how many recoveries might be coming in 2017 under the reinsurance contract. All things considered, on the bottom right-hand portion of the forecast, if the objective was to try to achieve the $4.5 million fund balance by the end of 2017, would require a 10% increase in the funding, or a combination of increase in funding or benefit and plan design changes, if that was the goal to reach the $4.5 million reserve target. In years past, we've actually had that target set a little higher, close to $6 million. In watching the claims roll out of the prior plan year through HealthScope and so far, like I mentioned, January through April, that total has been about $4.2 million. So we've adjusted that $6 million reserve target to reflect the actual experience that you're seeing right now. That reserve fund is really there for two purposes. One, to advance fund the plan to cover the cost of incurred but unreported claims, which is what the reserve is intended to cover. So seeing that it's currently going to fall about $4.5 million, we've tempered that down to the $4.5 million target for this year, and then applied a little bit of inflation for the next year. So we're short of our goal, which was hopefully by this year to have the fund balance back up to the $4.5 million, but I understand it's your authority to make the decisions to fund the plan as you see fit. And I know that I'm sure the teachers appreciated the raise that you're able to give them last year. But had we kept the funding on track, then we would really be right where we thought we would be. So everything appears to be looking pretty good. But we would recommend that you consider an increase in funding as you go into the budget process. As we get additional information each month, we'll update the forecast. And then, of course, your fiscal year begins in July. The plan year won't renew or recycle until January 1 of 2017. So as more data becomes available, we'll be updating the forecast, and we'll be back later to provide you, whenever you like, more forecasts or recommendations for any benefit changes or changes in payroll deductions, or help you on any strategies in terms of the district contribution to the plan. And that concludes the report. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have some.
I certainly have a couple of questions. I'm pretty upset to hear these findings. I don't understand why $2 million was cut from the funding. And back in 2013, when we were told we needed that $4 million cushion, and we took measures to get that $4 million cushion, we asked, in the event it looks like we're headed that way again, that we asked to be told ahead of time, not now that we're right back to zero and back in the same boat. So is this something that just happened overnight? Is this something that there was no way to let us know beforehand that we're approaching zero?
But we've been tracking the plan utilization. In the first part of the year, as we waited for information to roll through from Aetna, we pretty well had to put things on pause until we got some credible information coming in. But again, like I said, the strategy was on track in terms of the funding. So if we could go to that second to last page, perhaps. Page number 6. There we go. So the reduction from the district side of the contribution that was enacted on July 1 of 2015 represents about a shortfall of $3 million that would have come into the plan had you kept the funding part constant. And so in that case, then, the total projected revenues would have been it would have reflected $3 million more of revenues before expenses are taken out. If you look at the year 2017 at the bottom, second to last row, that's showing what the additional funding would generate to make the plan reach its $4.5 million target. So it says 4.2. So if you consider that we're short the $3 million from the change in the district contribution, we would be only $1 million away from our target by the end of next year.
We were short last year $3 million. Why are we being told now?
Well, no, the plan was on forecast for the funding assumptions that were made for 2015. But when the district reduced its contribution effective July 1, then the revenues tailed off. So there was $1 million of less revenue in 2015, and that also translates over into this year of about $2 million. So there's $3 million less of revenues coming into the plan, which is basically what the shortfall is as we roll forward to next year. If the plan continues to experience greater than expected discounts and not as many catastrophic large claimants that you've had as you've had in the past, then this forecast would improve, and the need to increase or change rates would mitigate or decline. The fact that you haven't had to change anything over 3 years is pretty commendable, though.
If there's any other questions, I'm upset that it's been this way for a year. Why didn't they tell us in January or February? Why are they telling us we're approving the budget tonight? Oh, by the way, you owe $4 million.
Well, that would be if you want to establish the $4.5 million reserve fund, which we would recommend.
Any questions? Thank you. Want to hit your button real quick? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you mean to tell us we're still dealing with the same health scope And the amount?
Now, HealthScope, so the claims that were incurred in 2015, there's a lag time between the time a claim gets incurred and when it gets submitted and presented for payment. And so HealthScope is finishing off the claims that were incurred and paid. Those things were already incurred at the end of December 31. Aetna began to process and administer claims incurred January 1 and after. So in January, there was about $1.5 million worth of claims that rolled out of the prior year. And in February, that went down. This last month was down to like $200,000. Typically, by the time you get past the fourth month, which was April, we'll see the claims rolling out of the prior year drop to maybe tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands. So they're just finishing up the processing of claims already incurred when they were the administrator and people accessed doctors and hospitals while they were covered under the Cigna provider network. So once those claims run out, then HealthScope and those claims will disappear from this equation.
Okay, I'm finding that very hard to believe on something like that. It's,
Well, so a hospital claim incurred on December the 30th wouldn't get filed for reimbursement until sometime in 2016. And since it was incurred under a contract with the provider, the hospital, for example, that said, this member has Cigna network access and the claim should be processed under the terms of that agreement, then those claims need to be paid off by the prior administrator. Aetna would have no way of knowing what the agreed upon rate was for something that happened in the prior year. So Aetna takes over for everything that happens January 1 and later. HealthScope finishes the job for the claims incurred prior. And believe it or not, sometimes it takes 60 to 90 days for the doctors and hospitals to submit their claims. Same thing on your pharmacy expense, except those go pretty quickly because the pharmacy expense is like a real-time claim. When you go to the pharmacy and you flash your card, information flies back. So there were only 2 weeks of claims that rolled out of 2015 into the cycle of 2016. So the pharmacy part is already done, but some of the hospital and physician claims take longer to roll through.
so, in other words, how much more is the district having to pay?
Well, that would be a discussion, determine on what types of plans you want to offer, if you wanted to make any benefit changes, because if you change some benefits, then such as changing deductibles or copays or out of pocket, like we had long discussions in 2013, that would lower the expectation of the expense in the future, which would mean that less money would need to come in. The other thing, too, is that this 10% adjustment would be just like we talked about in 2013, and that is if you wanted to fund the plan to where there was $4.5 million generated in 1 year, it would take a 10% overall increase. In 2014, the strategy was not to do it all in 1 year, but to do it in steps. So the 10% would be what the math generates to say if we want to fix it in 1 year. If you are looking to do a similar process like we did before and say, well, maybe in 2017, we'd like to see it get to $1.5 million and then $3 million the next year, then it takes less money to fund it.
Mrs. McLean, do you have a question?
I'm sorry?
Ms. McLean's turn.
Oh.
A 10% increase in terms of the district share of the equation is right about $2 million in a full year.
Ms. McLean?
So basically, it just restores the funding to what it was back in July of 2015.
I've just got a question with regard to usage of the health insurance, because the teachers are out on vacation during the summer, and we've only got the data through April. What is your experience with regard to the usage of the insurance during the summer months?
It does typically go up for elective surgeries. Not everything can be planned for, but that's one of the reasons for, in this chart, to look back for a full 12 months. So this 12-month time period that we're using as the basis for the forecast in the future goes all the way back to May of last year. So it captures the summer months of 2015 in the equation. And you've got enough people in the plan, 7,000 plus members, that it should be very statistically valid that that pattern of utilization will replicate itself. There's been no changes in enrollment. The total number of people covered under the plan has been consistent. The benefit plan design has been consistent. So the only thing really that we have to deal with is unanticipated and catastrophic claims or medical inflation, prescription drug inflation, et cetera. So there is a noticeable shift in the industry too, that especially on the prescription drug side, with more and more specialty drugs being introduced to the market, that the pace of inflation right now on prescription utilization is higher than on the medical side. The two combined is that average 7% that I mentioned.
Mr. Rosales?
The last, or one, prior to the last, or the next, you said it was recommended that we increase.
You're talking about what I would recommend for the 2017 year?
Is that based on that 10% that you're showing on that chart? That one?
That would be, the
ideal?
10% would be if our goal was to establish the reserve fund with a $4.5 million balance. The other thing this chart says is if we did nothing, if we didn't change any benefits, if the district did not increase any funding and the payroll deduction stayed constant, then you can see that our estimated reserve balance on 12/31 is that $597,000 figure. So it doesn't appear that the plan would be into a zero or negative reserve fund balance. Our estimate would be that you would be in the plus side by $597,000. But if you wanted to try to build your reserve fund up to that minimum recommended level, that requires an increase of about 10% in funding.
And the minimum recommended level is?
That $4.5 million, or $4.825 in 2017.
You keep mentioning 215, but I don't see 215 there, or 2015.
2015 in terms of the...
as you were making your discussion, your presentation.
Well, so the reference in 2015 is that with the start of your fiscal year, July 1 of 2015, the district lowered its contribution into the fund by $30 per employee per month. And so that cut a flow of about $2 million per year into the health plan fund. If you had maintained the same threshold, then you would have basically $3 million more than we're estimating here, or you'd have about $3.2 million fund balance at the end of 2016.
I would like to have a workshop because I need to look at those things again. We need to break it down and really get down to what makes sense to me. I'm not saying that I just need to understand, have a good understanding.
Be happy to.
I'm not in the position to arbitrarily just say, let's work on terms of getting the teachers a pay raise, and then you come along and say, well, guess what, guys? Now you need to work towards that 4.5 million. I'd rather look at the whole picture, and in that way that'll allow us to, as far as health insurance, it allows us to make a more intelligent approach.
In fact, happy to share the actual spreadsheet with the formulas and the assumptions, and we can have a live discussion and play what-if analysis. And we could assume what would it look like if the pace of inflation is 7%, or what would it look like if we were going to target achieving a $2 million balance as opposed to 4.5.
Dueñas, you had a question?
Yes. Being that it's only been 6 months that we've had the Aetna, and yet I'm hearing complaints about some employees are saying it's a lot worse than what we had before. Some of them are saying it doesn't pay much. We have to pay out of our pockets more than what they're offering. And I just have a question for you. Do you take all the insurances, or what is it that you represent? Do you represent the district? represent the companies, the insurance companies?
No, we're your hired consultant, so we don't actually represent any of the insurance companies. We're here to provide you analytical advice, support in your contract negotiations, development of strategies for wellness programs, incentives, health fairs, et cetera.
Okay. Are you out of El Paso?
Yes.
Okay, that's a big issue right there, because when we asked for you to be here at yesterday's meeting, Ms. Lieber said no, but she had an appointment the following day with you for about 2 to 3 hours, and with us, you're only going to be here a couple of minutes, and we have a lot of questions to ask in the sense of this. I mean, I don't think this should be very special for her when we're the board of directors here, and we can't even get a straight answer. You give her more information than you do to us.
Do you have a question,
Happy
ma'am?
to answer all of your questions. I had a prior commitment last night in Central Texas, and I couldn't be here in time for your workshop.
I think she misunderstood when you said, when she asked if you were out of El Paso, what she meant is, do you have a local office here and presence here?
Yeah, absolutely. Office in the
He's from
Chase
El
Building
Paso.
downtown.
Right downtown.
I've lived here 21 years. That's just yesterday I had to be in Waco.
Any further questions?
When can we have that workshop?
Well, if the workshop is something that will be, that you need as a prerequisite to adopt the budget, then we're going to have it on the 13th is one possibility. Schedule a separate and distinct workshop somewhere in June, and that's
Yeah, well, we're going to have it, Dr. La Torre. This is, springing this on us, it's not fair. I feel that we need to have a clear understanding. There's just too much money involved here and too much of an impact to everyone. And to do it today and adapt, I don't think we could do that. That's my opinion, guys. I don't know about you all.
I agree. This should this should have gone this long. We should have had started having something in May or maybe April, because this is just waiting to the last minute, and it's not professional what you all are doing. I mean, I'm sorry, but I think.
Are there any further questions related to the health fund presentation, though? And then we can discuss that during the budget portion.
Oh, okay. Yes, one of the things is that you've never asked the question.
You've already spoken
about,
twice, so we got to get you to sign up again, then we have to vote. We would have to vote. Yeah.
Okay.
Are there no other questions? Thank you. Thank you.
You are?
We will go to number 3, Board Report, Central Appraisal District, Ana Dueñas.
To the Board of Trustees and district constituents, as your representative at the CAT Central Appraisal District, it is my responsibility to report to you. We, the Board of Trustees, were not informed from the past board members, administration, and accounting and finance. We were never told as our delinquents back in 2014 quarterly was penalty, and actually I have the payment here, that our penalties was $15,299.12 of penalties for being late. And our total was for being late, and it was due on June 30th, and it was not paid till July 7th, 2014. And that was $299,449.80. This is something that was delinquent, and we were never told. The board member that was sitting there never told us anything on what was going on. And just to let you all know, I am bringing it forward to you. It was an embarrassing situation for me because I did not have a clue of what was going on. All the board of directors at the CAT just looked around and turned around as it was something that should not have happened. It has not happened, as a matter of fact, in 100 years. And for this year to have happened, it was an embarrassing situation for me, and I'm sure for everybody else. But just to report to you, it was an embarrassing situation, and I'm bringing it forward because if it goes up to open records, and we get the media, we get newspaper, or anybody, at least I'm letting you know. It's not going to be a surprise to you all. And for the record, it is my responsibility to bring it forward.
Mr. Pearson, you had a comment?
Yeah, as we all know, the CAD sets our home values, which is determined on how much property tax that we pay. My question is, as a board of directors, do they know that you have not paid your property taxes this year, that you are delinquent? I'm not done.
This is not
You
about
are delinquent in your property taxes. You have been for every year for the past 20 years. And you can sit up here, you can criticize everybody for not being on time and anything. You need to fix your house and clean it up and pay your property taxes on time. How can you vote on a budget if you can't balance your own personal budget? That's the problem I have with that.
Yes, ma'am.
As this is something that is with the district, my property taxes, I have assigned, and I have come forward and letting everybody know it's personal. But being with the district, there is money in the district, and this should not be happening. Now, Mr. Pearson, in a situation like this, at that time, you had been sitting in that, also in that board, and not only that, but you were so busy trying to put me in front, and then you ignored this here, which is what you're representing.
I'm going to go ahead and call point of order. Let's go ahead and move on to the consent agenda items. I'm going to call point of order. We can take a vote. All those in favor of moving on to consent agenda items?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-1. The order of the agenda has been approved, but there are other consent items any other consent items anyone wishes to discuss? If not, may I have an electronic motion on consent agenda items?
I move to approve the remaining consent agenda items as recommended by administration.
We have a motion and a second. Go ahead and cast your votes.
Okay.
Motion passes 7-0. Action item number 1. Consider and take possible action to approve adoption of the 2016-17 official budget and corresponding resolution as presented by the administration. Is there discussion? If so, please use your electronic hand for discussion. Ms. McLean?
I was disappointed earlier when I was asking for us to allow more time for this item, because this is one of the most important items that we discuss, that we approve as board members, the other being the hiring and evaluating of the superintendent. So, you know, given 3 minutes, I don't know, I don't see the desire from the other board members to actually comprehend and take serious discussion about this matter. I am still concerned about these proposals, because even with the most conservative proposal that's been given to us, in reality, that is almost $700,000 over, we're spending $700,000 over what that budget shows due to the using of those bond monies, which the following year are not going to be available. So therefore, going forward, you are already going to start the budget year with $700,000 in the hole. And so you're going to, you're putting yourselves in a very precarious situation. You know, these matters that we discuss with regard to the budget should be focused on the children. What can we do to further the education, make the education of our students better? And every year it is centered around how can we give the biggest raise to the teachers, to the employees, which I understand is a very big part of the budget. It's 85% of the monies we spend. But irregardless, there is never any mention of what are we going to do now, what new, you know, monies are going to be spent on the kids. It's always on your part, all about spending everything that we have to the last penny on giving teachers raises. What are we doing to improve those students that are being left behind, that are not graduating, that are dropping out, that are in the middle, that are not the gifted and talented, that are not, you know, the children that get the services? What are we doing for them extra? Why is there never any discussion about that? Why is there not any monies being put, additional monies being put in place for those types of students? I have a very big concern with always focusing all of our resources on raises. That is my 3 minutes.
Just a quick comment. The way the board operating procedures are set up, there's plenty of time to ask as many questions as we want, as long as we continue to approve extra rounds of discussion. The only other comment I have is if you look at consent item number 5, we didn't discuss it, but $2.04 million are going straight to kids in the form of Chromebooks. Any other discussion? No other discussion? May I please have a motion on action item number 1? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, I move to approve adoption of the 2016-17 official budget with recommended appropriations listed by administration and the annual compensation plan to include salary increases for teachers, nurses, and librarians as shown on Schedule A. For other full-time employees, 1.5 of the midpoint for each employee's position on the respective salary schedule, and an additional one-time lump sum payment of $450 per full-time employee, with the general fund budget total of $371,135,041, the food budget, service budget total of $23,946,126, and the debt service budget total of $26,903,842 as shown on Schedule B. Be eligible to receive the one-time lump sum payment of $450. The employee must have been employed on or before August 22nd, 2016 as a full-time employee and remain continuously employed from that date through December 21st, 2016.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second.
have a discussion.
Yes.
Where does this, we stand on this particular resolution in terms of the health insurance? Is this also part of the budget, or are we going to work on the health portion differently?
It doesn't address the deficit that was described by the consultant. In other words, this doesn't address the $3 million or $4 million deficit that Mr. McGraw shared with the board.
So this would still allow us the opportunity to revisit an approach to how we're going to work around the deficit?
So most certainly what Mr. McGraw has shared with us is sobering. What it indicates is that we need to make an investment in our health insurance fund. There are typically three ways that you do that. The first way is certainly you can consider what's referred to as a cost shift. That means that if we need a 10% increase, then employees would receive a letter in the mail indicating that that 10% increase is the employee's responsibility, or a 10% increase of their health care premium. Another option would be a cost share, where we would recognize that we need to increase the contribution by 10%. The employee would see a 5% increase in the premium. We'd have to make a similar 5% increase. And then when the economy is strong, some districts absorb the full 10% on behalf of the employees to insulate them from any increased premium. Those three options currently do not live in the proposed budget. Okay. What Mr. McGraw shared was that on July 1st of 2015, in order to give the paraprofessional auxiliary employees a 3% increase and the teachers a 2% increase, the normal $45 million contribution that would have been made to the health fund was reduced to $42 million, so that $3 million would be available to support those raises. That $3 million is currently no longer available, and so the work of the administration would be to make decisions, strategic decisions, deliberate decisions, to restore that $3 million, $4 million investment in the health fund. The only thing I would say is that it's not going to happen in 30 days, and this budget must be passed by the end of June, and it will be something that we'll have to address moving forward, because there really, even if we didn't give a raise, we don't have $4 million or $3.5 million at present to restore that $4 million health fund. Did I describe that right? Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Dr. De La Torre, does the administration have a recommendation on action item number 1?
The administration is prepared to move forward with the proposal as presented by Trustee Woodruff and understands the sense of urgency around the health fund.
I have a question. And so we're just voting on the raise right now, not in the insurance?
No, this is just on the budget.
The adoption of the 2016-17 budget.
We have a motion and a second. In that case, we can go ahead and all vote on the motion that has been presented.
Wait a minute, you gave different trustees an opportunity to speak. I have my button pushed to speak also.
That was before the motion and the second.
They spoke after.
Right. And we need to continue. Mr. Pearson, you are next.
Yeah, we've been bombarded with a lot of info. I just wanted to make sure that under this proposal that we would be taking 2.78 million out of the fund balance. Is that right? So yours confuses me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Dropping the fund balance to 78.5.
Provided I can't find a way to make it up during the year.
Understood.
Ms. Duenas?
Yes, so my question was, so this is just for the raise, right? And later on, no? For the insurance also?
Budget. The official.
So how much is it going to be for
2016-17
the
budget.
insurance?
Right. Yeah, we don't have anything extra going towards
The
insurance.
insurance?
Except for what's already been budgeted.
So how long do we have for us to come up with that money?
Probably by July 1 of 2017, we need to have a remedy to address the deficit that Mr. McGraw shared. Please.
So just to clarify, the effective date of any change in the contributions, as we're talking about, would coincide with January 1 of 2017, the start of the fiscal year. So it's not anything that's needed prior to that. And like Dr. Della Torre said, if it were to roll to the following July, you know, our projection shows that you still would be at even money, even with a conservative estimate, at the end of December of 2016. So then you basically have 6 more months to go to the start of your next fiscal year.
So we're okay right now?
You're okay right now, that's fine.
Okay, but in case we do come up with something, can you come to us before and not wait till the last minute?
Oh, absolutely.
But I also think it's important, to, and I think you've mentioned this, Mr. Rosales, is to accept and acknowledge that unless there's some legislative action that will significantly increase revenue, then it is unlikely that when we have these discussions a year from now, that we can invest as aggressively on salary schedules if we're going to address healthcare.
How much time do we have, or how much is the contract for?
She had like 30 seconds left. Stop it. Go ahead, ma'am.
How much is the contract for? A year or 2 years?
No, it's not a matter of contract. It's what it cost us a year to fund the utilization. And at present, it's costing, or we require to have $45 million on our end, as I understand it, and that coupled with the members' contribution can pay for 1 year's worth of bills. But currently on our end, we're $3 million short, and that $3 million has to either be made up by the district or a combination of the district and the employee, or the employee exclusively.
Mrs. McLean, you had a question?
What? Oh.
I want you all to realize that that motion that was made with almost a $3 million hit to the fund balance is potentially going to result in taxpayers paying more in interest on that $340 million bond that they approved.
430.
$430 million bond that was approved. And there's ramifications here way beyond, you know, it is wonderful to be able to give raises. It's wonderful, you know, to do all that we can. But Mr. Haggerty was quoted as saying that this was the most fiscally responsible board he had ever worked with. I have an accounting degree. I've worked with the U.S. Treasury. I have worked in banking, and I have kept numerous financial books for various organizations. And I would say that your comment was 100% incorrect, or you have not an understanding of what fiscal responsibility is. To take money from the fund balance to fund operating expenses is not fiscally responsible. To then further increase the cost to the taxpayers because, as Ms. Lewis used to say, you think there is a money tree that we can just go out and collect extra dollars is greatly, greatly irresponsible. So I have no understanding of how or why that these proposals are even being considered.
Your same point was brought up on Tuesday, and the question was posed to administration. Administration said that within 18 months, they could certainly provide a balanced budget, and that wouldn't be an issue. So your point is moot. Mr. Ramirez, you have a...
Yes.
Mr. Ramirez?
Oh, Mr. Who?
I have a number of concerns with this, and I don't want to get into the finger pointing, but I do comprehend and I do understand. And my concern, number one, is that we were supposed to approve a budget tonight based on all the available information that we need to approve that budget. And you know, this information to me that Mr. McGraw presented is very disturbing to me, and to me it changes the process of approving the budget. That's the first point. The second point, and it was the discussion we had last night, I'm not adverse to the salary increases. And Ms. McLean, I appreciate what you're saying, but the reality is that we are a people business, and the people who do our business are the teachers and the people on the front line. And I think we need to address that when we have the opportunity, but not the way things are right now. The other part of the discussion, and I have a grave concern, and I asked the teachers to consider this, is that we've ignored the issue of insurance, health insurance benefits. Teachers, there's a perfect storm coming where somebody's going to have to pay. We're going to have to pay, or you're going to have to pay. So we're incremental in addressing this now, so that what happened in 2013 doesn't happen again. I would like to not see that happen. I would like to see us recognize that this is something we're going to have to do together, and that we don't hurt our employees and their families. We need to find a way to address this, and I don't think that tonight is the right time to do that. I think that we need to go back to the drawing board and look at this, so that we can honestly tell our constituents, we can honestly tell the people of the district that we took everything into consideration, and not this last hour information to make a decision. And so I have great concern about approving the budget tonight. This is not a reflection on any individuals or on anybody. This is just a reflection on, I need the information to make an informed decision. And that's what I would like to see happen here.
Have you already spoken twice or no?
But mine is real quick.
Did you speak? Did you speak twice? Mr. Pearson?
Yeah, we're in a pickle, I guess you could say, by looking at, especially with the new information. And, you know, I was just sitting here thinking of the options in here of, you know, where if we wanted to go ahead and we're not going to get the health thing fixed this month, I'll tell you that much right now. The option of whatever, an increase without the lump sum payment, and I know that's a real special thing for everybody, but until we could work out the health care and all that, it may not be $450, it may be $300. We can figure it out by August. I don't know. It's just an option that I'm throwing out there for us, because I want to very much give our employees a raise. They deserve it. They work very hard. I've seen the scores, the high school, they're tremendous. And so we need to reward them in some manner. It's just maybe we can't go all the way yet until we figure out the health care situation. That's all.
If I can just suggest something, and that is that the reason that administration arrived at the conclusion that the 1.5 on the salary schedule with the additional 1% off the schedule is attractive is because Ms. McLean is absolutely right. If we rely on fund balance year after year after year, it's going to have an adverse or negative impact on our bond rating that would then ultimately cost the taxpayer additional monies in the form of rates. But with this proposal, we are going into the fund balance indefinitely by about $600,000. The other $2.5 million is a one-time commitment In other words, that $450 check that the employees would get in the fall isn't guaranteed beyond the fall. So there is no plan, and there would never be a recommendation to continue and give that stipend in future years until the health fund is addressed. What we're really risking right now is an ongoing increased expense of $600,000 and a one-time pull, for lack of a better word, from the fund balance that would bring it down to $79 million. But this board, I'm sure, would not want to repeat that year after year and affect our credit rating. I don't believe that doing it one time is going to adversely affect the credit rating. I suspect that we will sell the remaining bonds in January of 2017 because that's an ideal time to get the best rate. And again, what we're asking is a commitment of $600,000 this year that would be ongoing and that would represent our liability in future years that we believe, because of the people I've assembled here, we can recapture before the end of the fiscal year. The $600,000 for the buses and the maintenance are one-time expenditures this year, and we took it from one-time monies. The Chromebooks, that's a one-time investment. And then something that we haven't discussed is that we do have a number of schools that we plan to close, consolidate, and recover both one-time monies from the sale of those properties and ongoing operational costs from those properties. But there are a number of things that if we, as your senior leadership, are given an opportunity, we would pursue to mitigate what's being recommended tonight.
Thank you. We have the motion in the second, but the voting is disappeared.
There you go.
Okay. And we have the recommendation from administration. If everyone would like to cast their votes. Motion passes 5-2. Action item number 2, consider and take possible action to approve award of YISD solicitation bond 05 CSP structural repairs Riverside Middle School and Constance Holbert Elementary School for $352,952 from bond funds contingent upon final negotiations and legal counsel review. Using your electronic hand for discussion, is there any? No discussion. May I please have a motion on action item number 2?
Mr. President, I move to approve award to Martinez Brothers Contractors, LLC, YISD solicitation number bond 05 CSP structural repairs Riverside Middle School and Constance Hulbert Elementary School for $352,952 from bond funds contingent upon final negotiations and legal counsel review.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Dr. De La Torre, does administration have a recommendation on this item?
President Haggerty, members of the board, the administration recommends approval of award YISD solicitation bond 5 CSP structural repairs Riverside Middle School and Constance Holbert Elementary School for $352,952 from bond funds.
Thank you. Everyone cast your electronic vote. Motion passes 7-0. Policy action item number 1. Consider and take possible action to adopt on first reading Ysleta-specific revisions to policy BQB, planning and decision-making process at the campus level. Using your electronic hand, is there any discussion? No discussion. May I please have a motion on policy action item number 1?
Mr. President, I move to adopt on first reading Ysleta-specific revisions to policy BQB, planning and decision-making process, campus level.
We have a motion and a second. Dr. De La Torre, does administration have a recommendation on this policy?
President Haggerty, members of the board, the administration recommends adoption on first reading. Ysleta specific revisions to policy BQB, planning and decision-making process, campus level.
Oops. There we go. Passes 6-1. Policy action item number 2, consider and take possible action to adopt on first reading Ysleta specific revisions to policy BG, board self-evaluation. Using your electronic hand, is there discussion? No discussion, may I please have a motion on policy action item number 2?
Mr. President, I move to adopt on first reading Ysleta specific revisions to policy BG, board self-evaluation.
We have a motion and a second. Dr. De La Torre's administration have recommendation on policy action item number 2.
Please adopt on first reading Ysleta specific revisions to policy BG, board self-evaluation.
And cast your votes. Motion passes 6-1. Board of Trustees has determined that a closed meeting of the Board of Trustees is required to discuss the items set forth in the posted agenda for this date. Such closed meeting is authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551.001, including but not limited to the sections and purposes covered by the following sections of the Texas Government Code: 551.071, 72, 73, 74, 76, 82, 821, 83, and 84. Should any final action, decision, or vote be required with regard to any matter considered in closed session, final action, decision, or vote shall be in the open meeting or the subsequent public meeting with notice. Board will now move to the Rio Grande Room for closed session. I reconvene in open session at 8:23. This meeting with the following present: Mr. Rosales, Mr. Ramirez, Mrs. Woodruff, Mr. Pearson, Mrs. McLean, Ms. Duenas, and myself, Shane Haggerty. Action item number 1, use your electronic hand for discussion. If you would like to discuss possible action, approve the amendment for the contract for Dr. Xavier De La Torre, Superintendent of Ysleta ISD. There is no discussion. I move to approve the amendment for the contract for Dr. Xavier De La Torre, Superintendent of Ysleta ISD, as discussed in closed session, and allow the president to sign any subsequent documents provided by board attorney. Is there a second? Thank you. Dr. De La Torre's administration of a recommendation on this item. Like to get 2 more votes. Motion is approved, 6-1. Is there any other discussion or comments? If not, I have a motion to adjourn.
So,
Our meeting is concluded at 8:24 p.m.